keep hearing noises. Like on my... I'm not sure where it's coming from. It's always scary to me. Okay. So I'm going live just for these couple chapters that did not record properly. So I'm recording chapter 8, or I'm going to read chapter 8. And then I will... Who is this man? I thought, I have no idea, but I like his office, and I really like his dog. He was just this little old man, but his energy was insane. I estimated that he was probably 65 years old. He was actually in his 50s. Larry had told me the man was a big contact named Clive Calder. I had no idea what he did. If I'd known going in that he was a record executive who founded Jive Records, maybe I would have been more nervous. Instead, I was just curious. And I loved him from the second I met him. He had an incredibly intimidating three-story office. I don't know what's going on, but my internet has been acting up. Okay, so let me start from here, from the beginning of the page, because I don't know where it left off. Hi, Brittany, he said, practically vibrating with enthusiasm. How are you? How are ya? He acted like he was part of some sort of powerful secret society. He had a South African accent that made it sound to me like he was a character in an old movie. I had never heard anyone talk that way in real life. He let me pick up his dog as I held that tiny animal. So warm in my arms and looked around in the giant office, I couldn't stop smiling. In that moment, my dreams got a jump start. I hadn't recorded anything yet other than the demo. I was just visiting these people Larry had told me to meet with. I knew I was supposed to go sing a song for record label executives. And I knew I sure wanted to be around that guy more. And that the way he was had something to do with the way I wanted to be. I would have been surprised if he'd been my uncle in a past. I wouldn't have been surprised if he'd been my uncle in a past life. I wanted to always know him. It was his smile. Clever, smart, wise. He was a mystical smile of a man. I'll never forget it. I felt so much joy with him, and I felt like the trip to New York was more than worthwhile, even if all it gave me was a chance to meet someone like that, someone who believed in me. But my day wasn't done. Larry took me around town, and I went into rooms full of executives and said Whitney Houston's I Have Nothing. Gazing out at rooms full of men in suits looking up at me and down in the small dress and high heels, I sang loud. Clive signed me right away, and so I ended up getting a recording deal with Jive Records at the age of 15. Wow. My mother was teaching second grade now in Kentwood, and Jamie Lynn was little, so we got our family friend Felicia Colota, I call her Miss Faye, to come with me everywhere. The label wanted me in a studio immediately. They put Faye and me up in an apartment in New York. We would drive to New Jersey every day, and I would go into a booth and sing for producer and songwriter Eric Foster White, who'd worked with Whitney Houston. Honestly, I was clueless. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew I loved to sing and I loved to dance. And so, whichever the gods could come down and coordinate that for me, I was going to show up for them. If anyone was able to put something together for me that presented me in a format people could relate to, I was ready. I don't know what happened, but God worked his magic. And there I was in New Jersey recording. The booth I sang in the booth I sang in was underground. When you're inside it, you just hear yourself sing, nothing else. I did that for months. I never came out of the booth. After working nonstop, I went to a barbecue at someone's house. I was very girly at the time, always in a dress and heels. I was there talking with people, trying to make a good impression, and at one point I ran to get Felicia and bring her out on the balcony. I didn't realize that there was a screen door there. I ran straight into it, hit it with my nose, and fell back. Everyone looked up and saw me on the floor, holding my nose. When I tell you I was embarrassed, I swear to God. It's happened to me. I got up and someone said, "You know, there's a screen there." "Yeah, thanks," I said. Of course, everyone just laughed their little fannies off. I was so embarrassed. Isn't it funny that out of all the things that happened to me in that first year recording, this is one of my most vivid memories? That was over 25 years ago. I was devastated. But honestly, I think I was more in shock because I did not know that screen was there. It made me think I might have been recording in that booth for too long. About a year into my time in New Jersey, things were coming together for my first album. Then all of a sudden, one of the executives told me, "You need to meet this producer from Sweden. He's really good. He writes cool songs." "All right," I said. "Who has he worked with?" I don't know how I knew to ask that question, inexperienced as I was, but I started to have clear ideas about how I wanted to sound. I did a little bit of a research too and learned that at that point he'd done songs for the Backstreet Boys, Robin, and Bryan Adams. "Yes," I said, "let's do it." Max Martin flew to New York and we had a dinner meeting, just me and him, with no assistants or label people. Even though I usually had handlers around because of my age, in this case they wanted me to meet him by myself. Why? As we sat down, a waiter came over and said, "How may I help you?" Somehow, a little candle flipped over and sent the whole table up in flames. Oh, snap. We were at one of the most expensive restaurants in New York City, and our table had just become a full wall of fire. Oh, embarrassing for the restaurant. From "How may I help you?" to flame wall in under a second. Max and I looked at each other in horror. "We should go now, yeah," he said. He was magic, and we started working together. I flew to Sweden to record songs, but I barely registered the difference between there and New Jersey. I was just in another booth. Felicia would come in and say, "Do you want some coffee? Let's go take a break." I would shake her off. I worked for hours straight. My work ethic was strong. I would never come out. If you knew me then, you wouldn't hear from me for days. I would stay in the studio as long as I could. If someone wanted to leave, I'd say I wasn't perfect. The night before we recorded Baby One More Time, I was listening to Soft Cell's Tainted Love and fell in love with that sound. I stayed up late so that I'd go into the studio tired, my voice fried. It worked. When I sang, it came out gravely in a way that sounded more mature and sexier. Once I felt what was happening, I became so focused on the recording, and Max listened to me. When I said I wanted more R&B in my voice, less straight pop, he knew what I meant and he made it happen. Then when all the songs were done, someone said, "What else can you do? Do you want to dance now?" I said, "Do I want to dance? Hell yeah, I do." Okay, so that is the end of chapter 8. And we'll see you for the next one. Thank you.